I just finished my class that I give every day here in Govardhan, and I may even speak something about that, but let me see, because I have to go and now see where we're up to, and in this Gaur Leela. Usually I just look before. Okay, reading from Caitanya-bhāgavata Antya-khaṇḍa, chapter 4. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Jnana-timirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Taksur Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Sapadantikam Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So greetings from Govardhan. Just feel very grateful to be here. And gratitude is a very important quality, because gratitude is a result of kindness or mercy. And mercy means you don't feel mercy, you don't feel gratitude unless there's kindness and mercy. And mercy is undeserved kindness. So gratitude means is you're feeling, or mercy, you're feeling that you're getting something more than you deserve. So it's a very beautiful feeling of humility, because you feel your lack of qualification for what you're getting. And just being here in Govardhan is, I don't know what, a month or so ago, I'm not knocking New Jersey, but I was there and I was hankering to come to Vrindavan. And I really realized the saying in the last year and a half that you can't buy a ticket to Vrindavan, because I couldn't buy, every other year I could buy a ticket, but now the COVID, and you couldn't buy a ticket to Vrindavan. And therefore you realize that the entrance is Krishna's mercy. And when you're reflecting on that, you think, why? Why me? What qualification do I have to go to the Holy Dham? What qualification do I have? Krishna has every right not to gain me entrance for the rest of my life. So being here, I still feel that. What is the qualification? There's no qualification, it's mercy. I remember when I was in Dallas, Texas, and Prabhupada came, and that's where I joined, as you know. And after class, Prabhupada said, are there any questions? And one of my godbrothers, 6'5", Gyanagamya, maybe he was a Texan, they're big, and just said, Prabhupada, how can we repay you? And Prabhupada said, just remain obliged. Just remain obliged. So I'm really grateful to be here. Yeah, and we're working on making this little ashram here. I'm really trying. It takes a little bit more than I thought it would, but we're kind of forging ahead. We want to make, we have 5 units together. We want to make them as nice as possible so that when people come, they can be comfortable and experience the Dham. And I have a great assistant, Vikram. He's just an amazing guy. It's like a sadhu, but really savvy. And we're just trying to finish it, at least 2 more of the units before people come, and then we'll have our retreat. And I'm pretty excited about it. We're getting things together in terms of the prasadam. Some looks like some great kirtaniers will come. And then we figured out the schedule. I met with Leela Vilasini, and when people come the first day, we didn't understand, weren't sure what we were going to do, but we're going to walk to Chandra Sarovar, which is one of the most peaceful and beautiful places. And it was it's where the spring rasa dance happened. It's a very beautiful, beautiful kund, so we'll walk there. So these are the things that I'm thinking of right now. There's some, so I speak about Gail with this synchronicity. One of the ways I've made this as an argument for God's existence is synchronicity. When 2 events come together beyond the law of probability. I described that when I met the devotees in Los Angeles, and then I went to San Francisco, and we didn't have any place to stay, and we called up people, and there's no one that could house us. We didn't even know where we was going to stay, and they said you can park your car in the parking lot. And I told many of this story. You can park the car in the parking lot of this football stadium and use up my bathroom. And we went to this restaurant, this Chinese restaurant, for a particular reason. And then we got out, the devotees were chanting. Then when we got to this parking lot, the devotees were there. That we looked in there was stores, and so the parking lot was also the back of the stores on Frederick Street, and we saw some smoke blowing, and I saw devotees, and I thought, my God, my first thing was, this is big. Everyone in this city is into this, because we in front of the restaurant, they were chanting, and now people are here. We thought but it was synchronicity. Krishna put these events together. And I think if we look at our lives, and you're conscious on a spiritual path to move forward and elevate your consciousness, and you perform dharma, what you'll start seeing is an amazing thing. That your life, if you bow your head to God, if you respond to the world with dharma, and you take the guidance of the Vaishnavas and the teachers, you'll find an amazing thing, that the way the world moved around you was exactly directed to your heart and to your condition, and something you needed to know to elevate your consciousness to the next step. And when you live your life like that, you see God in every step of your life. And you saw God. I look back now, I'm past my 50th year in Krishna consciousness. And I look back and I see everything that came to me was for me to bring me where I am now. And I'm very happy where I am now, but I know in my heart I can go so far, I can go much further. And that's my experience here in Govardhan. I see it's possible. It's possible to get taste for the holy name. It's really possible to get taste for the holy name. And it gives you the faith that if you improve your life and you look at your life and you see the things that, not renunciation, but giving up the things that are not connected to Krishna, either directly or indirectly. Indirectly means the nourishment, the affection, the things you need to keep body and soul together. And you see the sacrifices that you can make, balanced, yukta vairagya, balanced detachment, giving up those things that don't really have value. They're anartha, they have no value to this development, either by stabilizing your mind and consciousness because they're the needs you have for sense gratification and relationship and prestige or whatever you need, but not more. You really see it's possible. I can go further in Krishna consciousness. But and then when it comes to death, and Prabhupada said as sure as death, in his room, he told his sannyasis, his renunciates, don't think this won't happen to you. Don't think this won't happen to you. Then, when that moment comes, and it comes for everyone, as you are convinced that everything that came to you is for you, you'll see death in the same way. And therefore, as the Bhagavatam says, if you want to be fearless at the time of death and chant here and remember Krishna, then you'll be fearless at the time of death. Because you'll be confident of your destiny. Fear is due to uncertainty of something in the future moving against your benefit, your desires, but you'll be completely convinced that the world will move, even the giving up of the body, that actually it's for your benefit. To link you up now, either in those who are fortunate have finished their sojourn in the material world and have a spiritual existence completely, or by the time you finish your life, you'll be of a consciousness that deserves a better body than you have now, both by the debilitation that the body is in old age, but also by the karmic nature you got in this life that you're struggling with, and it's purifying you and moving against you. So anyway, these are just some thoughts I had. And before I go into the, I was talking about synchronicity, so I'm not going to forget. So this is the synchronicity, is I have a new thing now, and because I'm always looking for things to lecture, and I've lectured on certain stories of the Bhagavatam so many times, and it's really working. I'm just reading through Krishna book and then commenting. So it's an interesting thing that I noticed. I noticed that on Govardhan Puja, I was up to the Govardhan Leela. And then on the full moon night of the Sharaat season, where the rasa dance happens, I was up to the rasa dance. So I've been lecturing on the rasa dance. There's not many people here. It's just not many people in Govardhan. So my classes are between 2 and 4 people. But some of them were taped, actually. But anyway, I'll explain to you a little bit about it, and because that's what I've been just lecturing on. So the part we were up to is kind of a little bit interesting. And I try to indicate to the devotees, and I explained them a little bit about Rasa Shastra, about what these stories are meant to do. What they're meant to do is, like all drama recreates some experience in the world that allows you to feel it. If there's a tragedy, you should feel it, but it's somehow disconnected from your own ego. It has a purifying effect. But what these dramas are, what the Bhagavatam is, it's the emotion of rasa, bhakti rasa, which is the ultimate reality. And what other ultimate reality is reasonable but the exchange of the highest love, and therefore the highest pleasure, because love is pleasure. So I was trying to show how the drama of Krishna, if you just step back a little bit, you'll see that what's happening is a very, very reasonable conception that the ultimate reality must be love at its height. And I was trying to describe to the devotee, first, I really had to explain the point, what I called prejudice, spiritual prejudice. I don't jump to these high topics, but I explain very, very carefully how you have to hear them. Because what prejudice means is that you judge something not for what it is, but you prejudge it based on a similar experience that no longer applies. So you apply something that's no longer applicable, and therefore you misunderstand something based on a previous experience. You may have had, you've grown up in a particular thing. We had a bad experience with some of the particular ethnicity, and then you meet someone of that and you judge them by that experience rather than who they are. So it's the same thing with Krishna's pastimes. We prejudge it based on a similar experience that is not applicable. And therefore, when we read the purports, Prabhupada goes at great length and at great genius to couch those pastimes in Krishna between boy and girl as something that may have that form, but a very different consciousness. And therefore, the relationship between Krishna and the gopis is called kama roop. It's called the form of lust. It's not lust, it's the form of lust. In other words, how we understand it. It's the same form as this world, but the consciousness is different. And right at the beginning of the Ras Leela introduction, Prabhupada clearly says that the gopis had lustful desires to please the senses of Krishna. It wasn't actually lust at all, it was love. Their consciousness is no tinge of selfishness. What materialness is, material consciousness is selfishness, it's self-centeredness. They wanted nothing for themselves. Ashlishyava padaratam panastumam madarshanam mamakat. You may make me brokenhearted by not being before me. You may crush me by your embrace, but you're still my Lord. It's just this selfless love, which we are all hankering for, both in our hearts and to have an object that's worthy of that. Both in our hearts and to have an object that's worthy of that. And that's what it's about. So we see how this drama, which is a reality, because reality is a drama. This drama, how it brings the love to the height. And we were discussing the very beginning, we can imagine the next Monday morning greetings, which you will get tomorrow, is called Are the Gopis the Greatest Renunciates? And trying to explain, my God, what happens. What is it like to hear Krishna's flute? What is it like to hear Krishna's flute? And you can only hear Krishna's flute if you have a relationship with him. And when you hear his flute, you hear his love for you. And what is that like when you really love someone? When you really love someone, and you want their love more than anything else, how painful it is when they break that relationship. How painful it is when they don't acknowledge that relationship. And how blissful it is when they do acknowledge that relationship. So they hear their love, they hear Krishna's love. And it's such a powerful emotion that it completely overpowers any sense, even though it's the highest reality, because their eternal their eternal relationship is with Krishna. So even though it's emotional, it's truthful. This is the ultimate reality. Our eternal relationship with God, and others are temporary. So they hear that. And it's such an experience. The only thing, I have no experience of this, but I'm just what I think. You know, like someone's a cocaine addict or a heroin addict, and they'll steal their parents' money, they'll rob their, the desire for that is so strong. It overcomes any sense. And we always have this competition between the desires we have and the understanding we have. I want this, but it's not right. But sometimes that want supersedes anything. But that want is that want is right, because it's the ultimate reality, is our relationship with God. And other relationships have a reality in the sense that it's something that we need. It's something that we are obligated to. and therefore something that can't be transcended, transgressed by our desires or our wants. But this is something else. This is a desire that is the goal of those relationships, the goal of my marriage, the goal of the Vedic principles, Vedaish Sarver, Eva Vejo, Vedanta Vid, Veda Vid, Eva Chaham. Of all the Vedas, I am to be known. So Prabhupada said, you can't imitate the gopis if you're a conditioned soul. Savita Bhattacharya, I once took Prasad at her house, and she explained this point of how those on the highest platform, they're beyond any rules and regulations. She described it like an airplane. The traffic laws, the red lights, the green lights don't apply to them. It's moving on another level, on another platform. So try to put, what did they feel like when they heard that flute and Krishna was saying, I love you and come to me? It went above any other considerations that normally you would be morally obligated to follow. And we should be. And Prabhupada goes on this whole thing. He even tells the gopis, chastity of a woman to a man is the most important principle. And you can't, and then Prabhupada said, Krishna's not being sarcastic. This is true. It's true. It just doesn't apply to the gopis, who are beyond all those things, because they're achieving the highest level of reality. And those things are meant to get you there. Well, they're there. It's like a ladder that you go to, and then you're on the top step. Then the bottom steps don't have any relevance because you got to your goal. So imagine that force and what they're experiencing and what they have to transcend, even their honor, their reputations. In the Yoga Sutras, it says the higher levels of renunciation is you can be a yogi and you can be austere, but being attached to false prestige. But higher than that is the inner detachment from honor and reputation and respect. And they're given that all up to go to Krishna in a very, very deeply, and at night with such risks in the forest. And then they get there, and Krishna called them there by their flute. And the environment was just changing to announce that this is the time for this union between Krishna and the gopis. And then Krishna says, well, what can I do for you? Concierge, is it? Like at a hotel? Very polite, but there's no real relationship. And in the hearts of the gopis, they're so disappointed. Why is this? What are they feeling after all this? Shouldn't Krishna say, shouldn't be a scene from the movies where Krishna runs towards them and they run towards Krishna and there's a long embrace. And they're both willing to risk whatever, because it's such a love. And they made such risk in the middle. Shouldn't Krishna say, well, what are you doing here? My love, you made such sacrifice just for me. The Parya, there's no way I can repay you. There's no way I can repay you. And Krishna says, what can I do for you? What is in their hearts? And this is what the rasa is doing, what the relationship. It's bringing that sense of love by this drama higher and higher for the taste of God and for the taste of the living entity, who are rasika, who are connoisseurs of this high love. And then the gopis are astounded, and they're just looking around back and forth, looking around back and forth. Krishna says, oh, now that you've seen the forest, you came here for nice sightseeing, and now that you've seen the forest, now you can go. Now that you've seen the forest, now you can go. They're a little bit angry now, but that anger is born of this love. So the ocean of their love with these emotions is just getting, and then somehow or other, they become a little bit upset, and they start preaching to Krishna, Acharya Purusham. The whole purpose of life is this relationship with God. And therefore, as we have sacrificed everything for the mood of devotion, as we've given up even we sacrificed our reputation for selfless service, it is only proper that you accept us taking shelter at your lotus feet. Anyway, unless I would go and read the verse, this is what I've been doing, commenting on the verses, and just a few special people in the audience. There's one housewife from Delhi. I guess she has 2 older daughters in America. She's going to come to my retreat. And not an ordinary soul. She lives in Govardhan for the whole month of Kartik. And then, of course, she has to go back. She's married there. Her husband came to one of my classes, initiated by probably Gopal Krishna Maharaj. Cooks, if I want, breakfast and dinner, and she has. It's just seva. It's just seva bhav. So, and she comes, and then there's one devotee I've known for a long while named Sabyasachi. And there's things that Russians can do that no other people can do. Very nice devotee. I knew him. He's a mechanical genius. He's absolutely a mechanical genius. And believe me, in this house, even I got a new geyser, it doesn't work. I have a karma. I haven't taken a hot shower in my house here in like 10 years. I mean, we didn't have enough water pressure. We couldn't get this. And someone mentioned it to him, and he just looked at that machine. He looked at it. He has a certain shakti, and he took one pipe out and did something else, and then took out this little part, and then went there, and then blew into something and took something else out. Now it works. But I didn't know he's preaching, and she chants all the time, and he preaches, and I've known him very well for maybe 15 years. I'm seeing all these relationships, and he was going out. These are just, there's one lady that lives on the next street from me. Her house is a menagerie, which means she has so many animals. And she goes around Govardhan half every single day for the last 15 years. And she goes, and 10, 15 people every day in Kartik. She goes out to a different village, and when she gets there, she cleans, she paints the deities, She has a big trunk of medicines and care, and she feeds all the people, and everybody starts cleaning. And they go to 30 places, and that's all they do. Save it to the Brijbasis, save it to the Brijbasis. So this person got dengue fever, which is a very, very serious, like malaria, but much more serious. And he still went out every single day. Every single day. It's crazy. But he went out every single day, including the day after Radhakund's appearance day. They went to Radhakund to clean it out from all whatever it is. And he was in the water for 2 hours. But very attached to Krishna-katha. And they would come and Leela Vilasini sometimes. And so it's nice to be up there. And when I go to Vrindavan, there's a few people I know. I'll continue this because it is actually so relishable. Actually, just sharing my life here, that, Bhakti-Vigyan Swami is really nice. He's just extended his friendship to me. I've become very close to him, and he's a wonderful, incredible Vaishnava. And every day I have lunch for him, and it's just so healthy with a variety of things. And one day Satchidananda Swami came, who just has a place somewhere in Radhakund, and he literally chants all day long during Kartik. And then he came, and he really, I'm just sharing my realizations. He really, really wanted to meet me because many letters I get from him, how much he appreciates Monday morning greetings. And he wanted to thank me for it because he really appreciates it. So I didn't know. He always wanted to see me, but with his schedule, and then he has to leave right after Kartik, it wasn't going to happen, even though he really wanted to see me. I know that. And then somehow he was invited for lunch that day, the last day of Kartik or something, and I was there, and it was just me, Bhakti-Vigyan Swami, and Satchidananda Swami. And I could see that his consciousness from just chanting, it was just at this platform above the world. And in his presence, it's just the philosophy, the realizations that we were sharing. I was telling Vikram, you wish you were a fly on the wall. But one thing I felt, and I'm feeling this myself, is that when you dedicate yourself to chanting the holy name, you don't lose time, you gain time. Even though I'm chanting, you don't lose time, you gain time. Because Krishna enters in your life and organizes in a way. I can give you an example, Monday morning greetings. When I started, I wasn't chanting this much as I do now, but it takes much less time. And I begin to write, I'm not sure what I'm going to write. And then I'm not thinking of writing, but thoughts come, and it just seems to come so much quicker. So I felt that way with Satchidananda Swami, because he was dedicated to the holy name and he wanted to meet me. It was arranged in a way that kind of went seamlessly. And was a blessing because I understood this is the type of sadhu sanga, sarva shastra hoy, sadhu sanga, sarva, a moment's association, Sarva siddhi hoy, can give all perfection. So I was feeling like, wow, this was so beautiful and so wonderful. And to get that kind of Sangha, and that's what I want to provide out here in Govardhan, a place where people can come and get that level of Sangha to change their life, to give them faith and deep realizations. Yeah. So Now today's verse for what we have, it's Lord Chaitanya, who we are meditating on and we're desiring to serve. And when we desire to serve, when we desire to serve, when we desire to serve someone, we have to enter their heart and understand what they want. And it's one of the ways in which bhakti works. When you develop a desire to serve someone, it empowers you to enter their heart and take their heart to yours. Just like if you see really advanced Prabhupada disciples and their desire to spread Krishna consciousness, their desire to distribute books, their desire to give their life, they were empowered with a desire which is bhakti itself from that type of experience. So when we hear about Lord Chaitanya, we develop attraction to him. We kind of develop a desire to serve him and to serve his mission. And something comes into our hearts that connects us to Vrindavan, because that's what Lord Chaitanya's heart is. Lord Chaitanya's heart is Vrindavan. Lord Chaitanya's heart is Vrindavan. So now what happens is Lord Chaitanya in his journey, his mother gets to cook for him. Can you imagine that type of bhav? She was devastated. Now she gets to see her son again. Who is God? And what is that motherly love like? It's eternal, it's ever present. You enter into it, you're there forever in a blissful way. And she gets to cook and making shak, so many different varieties. And then there's remnants of Lord Chaitanya cooked by Mother Sachi Devi, his mother. The devotees were wildly fighting over those remnants. The remnants of a pure devotee, the water that washed his feet, the dust, it's very, very powerful. It's very, very mystical. And I had that experience myself when Prabhupada put a rascal in my hand. And biting into that rascal, there was a mystical transformation in my consciousness that increased my commitment to serve above the mental obstacles I had to make that commitment. So these devotees are fighting for that. And just the fight itself for that. Sometimes the desire for the desire is as strong as achieving it. And I give you a nice example about that is I have certain families of devotees that I'm very, very close to. Very close to Yugalapriti and Jagadish in Mayapur. I'm part of their family. And they don't let so many people enter into that role. I'm going to go there on the 5th. It's going to be a joy for me. We're very, very close. And, now when you get 71 years old and you have these relationships, you just look at it, man, this is 15 years, this is 30 years, this is 40 years, this is 50 years. You start having these relationships and how meaningful they are. And that becomes the reality. I just read in this one letter where Prabhupada was talking to Jamuna and Dinatarani, they didn't fit into the institution as it was constructed at that time. And Prabhupada said, where there's chanting of Hare Krishna is ISKCON. It doesn't negate the concept of ISKCON, the concept of institutions, the fact that whether we're in ISKCON or not, we should be for ISKCON. The society that Prabhupada created that gives us all the facilities for spreading Krishna consciousness and prints the books and the people who serve it. You can't underestimate that. But what Prabhupada told them is where there is chanting Hare Krishna, that's ISKCON. Especially when you're chanting in the mood of bhava, in incredible love and service for Prabhupada. How can that be disconnected from his desire? Anyway, Lord Chaitanya is traveling and devotees are fighting for those remnants. And then all the devotees start to assemble and he meets a devotee named Murāri Gupta, who's a physician, but he is when the Lord saw Murāri Gupta, he smiled and spoke to him. So Murāri, who is Murāri Gupta? Murāri Gupta he is a devotee of Lord Ram. And and sometimes they have these discussions whether bhakti is inherent or bhakti is inherited. And there's always arguments on both sides, but this is an argument that bhakti is inherent because they couldn't convert him to Gopi Bhav, although he was a servant of Lord Chaitanya. I was also speaking about that with Bhakti Vigyan Goswami. He's such a scholar. He is such a scholar. Really, he is amazing. And when Satchidananda Swami was coming, and I was sharing something that I wrote recently about it's reasonable that the ultimate reality is beyond our logical understanding of what it is and how it operates. And I gave so many reasons, I'm not going to go beyond that right now. But Bhaktivedanta Goswami immediately quoted something, I believe, by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who was a genius in communication. And he said that if you try to figure out, if you try to logically define the inconceivable, if you dwell on the inconceivable, it will develop anarthas in your heart. And that's what I wrote with Prabhupada, said, what does it matter, get out. So anyway, Murāri Gupta, and Lord Chaitanya is recognizing that and valuing that. Oh, Gupta, I've heard that you composed 8 verses describing Raghavendra. Please recite them. Being ordered by the Lord, Murāri Gupta became absorbed in ecstasy as he began to recite those verses. Well, look at this. My name is there in Raghavendra's verse. Agre Dhanurdhara Kanakojvalanga. Agre Dhanurdhara Vara Kanakojvalango. Cheshtanu Sevana Ruto Parabhushanatya. Se Shakya Tamavaralok Lakshmana nama yasya Raman jagataya gurum satatam bhajame. I constantly worship Lord Ramachandra, the guru of the three worlds. Before him stands Sri Lakshman, who is the best of archers, Dhanurdhara Swami, whose bodily complexion is like molten gold, who is engaged in the service of his elder brother, who is wonderfully decorated, and who is the form of an Antasation. Atvakara Tisharaso Sagano Kadambham Sri Dandakana. I don't figure. I constantly worship Lord Ramachandra, the guru of the three worlds, who destroyed Kara, Trishira, Kabanda, and their followers, and who rid the Dandakaranya forest of the demon Dushana, and who killed Vali and made friends with Sugriva. In this way, Murāri Gupta recited 8 verses on the order of Lord Chaitanya. He then explained them. So then the other verses are given in the purport. Dura Dala Shamala Kadanda Diksha Guru Bhaktagana Priti Vas Chatita Kalpataru. His complexion is dark like durva grass, and he is the supreme teacher of the art of archery. He is like a desire tree for fulfilling the desire of his devotees. Hasya Mukhe Ratnamaya Raja Simhasani Vashya Achena Shri Janaki Devi Vama. He is smiling as he sits on the royal throne, decorated with jewels, with Sri Janaki Devi on his left. In front of him is his younger brother, the great archer Lakshman. Agre Maha Dhanurdhara Anujuja Lakshmana, whose complexion is as effulgent as gold and was decorated with golden ornament. I saw my name twice. Somehow. Āpanāra, appearing as the Lord's younger brother, Sri Lakshman, who's the origin of Lord Ananta, engages in the service of his elder brother. Birth after birth, I worship the lotus feet of Sri Raghunandana, who is the supreme teacher of everyone. His 2 brothers, Bharat and Shatrughna, fan him with chamaras as the leader of the monkeys sings his auspicious glories before him. May I, birth after birth, sing the glories of that Lord who made friends with the Chandala Guha. He left his kingdom on the order of his guru. He then wandered in the forest to perform some pleasing work for the demigods. The Lord killed Vali and entrusted the kingdom to Sugriva. Out of compassion, he made friends with Sugriva. I worship the lotus feet of the master of the 3 worlds who delivered Ahalya. With the help of Lakshman and the monkeys, the Lord effortlessly created a bridge over the insurmountable ocean. I worship the lotus feet of the Lord who killed Ravana and his family members, whom even Indra could not defeat. By his mercy, the religious-minded Vibhishan became the king of Lanka, even though he didn't want to. I worship the lotus feet of Raghavendra, whose glories are faithfully heard by even the Yavanas. He always carried a bow and arrow to annihilate the miscreants, and he enthusiastically maintained his subjects as if they were his sons. By his mercy, all the inhabitants of Dyoja went to Vaikuntha in their same bodies. Maheshwar forgets his clothes while absorbed in the mellows of his name, and Lakshmi constantly engages in the service of his lotus feet. I worship the lotus feet of Raghavendra, the master of all, who the Vedas glorify as the supreme Brahman and the Lord of the universe. In this way, Murāri Gupta explained the 8 verses that he composed, describing the nectarean glories of Ram. Okay, Chamunajaya, you start us off with something.
Hare Krishna Raj, thank you for class. I was just so taken with that last. I was like, Jai Ram. That was really beautiful. Thank you. But before that, I really love this concept of if you really have the conception that everything that Krishna is doing is for you, that even at the time of death, this changing of bodies is going to be a good thing. And that's something to really put in the bank and to remember that the way to be fearless at the time of death is even this, that we as humans probably fear a lot, is actually Krishna being so merciful to us. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That's a good point. Wow. Anybody else like to ask a question or share something that they appreciated from the class?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I really,
Yeah.
I couldn't help but think of the Narayan Maharaj controversy when you said, wherever there is chanting, there is ISKCON. I really loved that. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, Haribo. Haribo, Henry. Sound's not working. Okay, somehow you can't. Nice to see you, Henry. Okay, anybody else like to say hello?
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Malati, Hare Krishna.
Hare Bol. Thank you for class today. I'm currently in Gitanagari, so I wanted to say hello from Gitanagari. It was sort of an unexpected trip. I'm here by myself. I've met incredible devotees. It's been so beautiful. Here's a gardenia for you from their garden.
What are you doing in Gitanagari?
That's a good question. It's just a spiritual retreat for me, I guess, a solo retreat. There's nothing organized, but I came and trying to learn more about the like Mangal Arti and offering Arti and trying to just meet the devotees.
I think that's great because I honestly feel there's no place outside of Vrindavan that is as Vrindavan as Gitanagari.
Oh, wow.
I always felt that. And it has a kind of simplicity of communication that doesn't work and cell phones that don't work and not a lot of opulence, but it always has been that way. And I think, wow, what a great, opportunity. And I spent a lot of time in Gitanagari. One of the places I spent one whole Kartik in Gitanagari.
Oh,
I used to stay, I spent a lot of time and had a lot of relationships. And I don't know what devotees you're meeting there. Of course, Dhruva and Parijata. And then I know one lady, Anandita Lalita, I think, and her husband. They live outside, but they're part of that community.
Okay.
She's a friend of Leela Vilasini. Okay, well, great. Well, I think it's a great idea, and thank your husband for taking the kids and giving
That's right.
you that kind of experience. And it's not too far from you, and you can develop a relationship with that Dom. It's really Davin. Very good. Okay, great. I'm happy for you.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Okay.
Can you hear me now, Mara? Can you hear me now? This is Henry.
Hey, Henry. Yeah, great to see you.
Sign off to turn my microphone on. I'm traveling. I'm in Gainesville. I'm across the street from the Krishna house. Ironically, I was planning to spend most of the time there, but they had a bit of an outbreak. 10 devotees at Krishna house got COVID. But anyway, I'm doing the same thing in Gainesville that I would be doing at home. I'm watching you, and I'm just enjoying this class more than ever. There were so many brilliant points. When you dedicate yourself to chanting, you gain time because Krishna enters and organizes. This is so true. I'm finding this so true in my life, and where there's chanting, Hare Krishna, that is ISKCON, And Krishna puts everything together for you and makes your whole life happen just the right way to end up right where you are here today. And I just love that. And it's working so well for me, Maharaj. And thank you for your mercy for all these decades.
Wow. You really were able to conceptualize and express those points quite clearly. So I really appreciate that. But you're seeing Brahmatirtha, or you're just going to hunker down there because
Oh,
of
no,
what happened?
we see a lot of Brahmatirtha and a lot of outdoor events. There's a thing called the Festival of the Holy Name, which is all outdoors on the farm next weekend. And I'll see all kinds of people from Gauravani to Raghunath to, Mukhya, all the local luminaries here. And
So you're not too worried. You're just a
no,
little
I'm not
safe.
worried. Just had my third shot, and I wear a mask, and I'm not going into any indoor events that are big. There's plenty of outdoor stuff here.
Okay, great. Okay. Bhakti Devi, I saw you. Thanks, Henry. Say hello to all my friends there. Bhakti Devi. Hi,
Hare
Bo.
Krishna Maharaj. Ooh, how are you? You look great, by the way.
It's a little bit more challenging because the diet is not as controlled. But when I eat with Bhakti Vigyan Goswami, it's just perfect. And I eat there every day. But sometimes, like I went to the temple for the end of the Kartik feast. I had that Malai cheese sabji, the things that, and this Vikram, my assistant, he loves me so much that he brings me the wrong things in the morning, because he cooks like quinoa and steamed sabji with a little ghee, and so he brings me a samosa. And I said, don't bring me food that's not good for me because I'm going to eat it. And boy, they make good samosas at Giriraj Mistan Bhandar. I mean, really good samosas. So it's like that sometimes, for a few days, and don't always,
Well,
And-
whatever. You look great. You look great. You sound great, which is very
well,
good.
when I go to lunch, he lives in Braj-Vasundar. It's like a resort area for India. It's kind of, no one lives there except the Russian devotees, because Indians, they buy there and they never stay there. So it's like a luxury thing with just beautiful cottages and lawns and things. It's only 20 minutes away. It's a 20-minute power walk, but now there's all these electric things, so you can always get taxis back and forth. Anyway, when you come to Govardhan, maybe we'll put you there. Or you can have a 2-minute walk of something clean and simple, but you'll see what your family allows.
I also wanted to say that, like Henry said, I also liked what you said about when you chant, you don't lose time, that you actually gain time. I mean, that is really such an interesting concept. But I was wondering if you could also just talk a little bit more about what you said, that if you dwell on the inconceivable, you will develop anartas in your heart.
First of all, it's a statement that's made, from a great acharya, and it just seems to make sense. I haven't thought about it, but it seems like that, because then you dwell on things that you can't figure out, and then it develops doubt sometimes because the conclusions are never logical. And then you get into conflict with others because on things that have no logical basis, you can have two different opinions. So it's like Prabhupada said, you fall in a well, just grab the rope and get out. Don't argue who set the rope, where did it come from? I'm a brahmachari, it was sent by a woman, I'm not grabbing it, this was my sampradaya, okay, I'll grab this rope. And the rope came, grab the rope, get out. There's certain thing to get siddhanta, to get conclusions, etc. But I just see most of the time they just become a distraction from the simple things of devotional life. And they create divisions in people. This is my party, this is your party. And it can make one a muni. I know better because I have this siddhanta, this conclusion. So always I just see it practically happening. Rather, it just, That's my experience, where the jiva fell, did we come from here, did we come from there? We're always in the world, we're not in the world. I wrote something about that in my Monday morning greetings called a reasonable question without a reasonable answer. Okay, thank you, Bhakti Devi.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Good. Okay. Tomorrow I have my vacation. I'm going to Vrindavan for 4 days. I have my place in Vrindavan, and I'll give class there every day. And there's one lady who came to leave her body. It's another family I'm very close to in Moscow, very close to these people. And her mother was almost like my disciple. She got initiated by Radhanath Swami, and it was done by Zoom, and he never does that before. And they invited me, and Mandakini, the first Russian lady that spread Krishna, not Russian lady, French lady that went there, and they love her, and she was there. And now she came. An interesting story, and I'll share this story. I'm kind of in a talkative mood today, so I'm going a little bit longer. But yeah, this lady, very nice lady, the mother of one devotee who's close to me, and she became a devotee. And she loved my classes, and she'd sit up and she'd really appreciate them, and quite, I would say, more sophisticated, but very, 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 very humble. And then somehow or other, she got sick and was losing weight. They couldn't find out what was wrong. And when they finally got the tests, they found out it was cancer, and she wasn't even in a condition to take chemotherapy. So Radhanath Swami said, okay, I maybe told the story, initiate her, and I was online. And then now you got to get a visa, and they're not right now giving visas from Russia, I think, because of the COVID thing or whatever. So they had to get a visa, and then they decided to take her to Vrindavan. And it wasn't easy. Now, to go to Vrindavan, I didn't know planes do this service, but it just may be interesting to you. If you're dying and you want to go someplace, you can't say you're dying, but you need medical assistance. For a lot of money, the plane will do it because they do it for money. But you basically have to rent 6 business class seats. Both ways, even if you're not coming back. And towards the window, they give you all the seats. Maybe there's even 8 seats, and they somehow put them down where they can put a bed. And so they thought it was so you go to a company that does this, and a doctor has to accompany it. And they thought it would cost $4,000. They called the company, but when all the details were calculated, it was $13,000. And just one, such a sweet lady who loved her, who was a business lady, but as sweet and kind as you can imagine, said, I'll pay for the whole thing. And then her daughter found out, who was going to accompany her, that her passport was 1 day short, because you can't go to India unless your passport is 6 months. If you go, something like that, it has to be 6 months, and it was 1 day short. So this lady said, well, okay, I'll go with her, and the daughter will join. And then I sent Vikram here with the son-in-law, because Vikram's very expert. And it was so insane trying to figure out between Aeroflot and India. They couldn't even find out, because they had to go by an ambulance, and the ambulance had to go and pick the lady up and transfer from the ambulance from the airplane. But they were really afraid it wouldn't even work out. And they called Radhanath Swami, and he said something very poetic. He said, just the fact that she desires to go to Vrindavan means she's already been accepted by the lotus hands of Sri Radha. And the lady was just she was satisfied. So one of the reasons I'm going into Vrindavan is to see the lady and her daughter, who's very close to me, and go to the Bhaktivedanta hospice and see her. And, when you look back and someone's leaving, this lady had a lot to be proud of. I mean, I could say this as sannyasi, she's 62, but she extremely beautiful lady. They showed me pictures when she was young, and even at that age, it was just extraordinary. But she was never criticized anyone. Or her son-in-law was here for class today, said she woke up at 3 o'clock every day, chanted with such sincerity, and, had a very difficult life. The Russians that were in Uzbekistan, and then when there was this, it was free and everything became a country, then they had to leave everything. And, so many stories of what people go to and have to go through. But what is the culmination? The culmination is, okay, Krishna says to some people, I'm giving you all your karma in one life, because I want to take you back to Godhead. And that's the result here. Okay, anyone else that wants to say hello?
Hare Krishna
think-
Maharaj.
Hey, Krishna Maharaj.
Oh, you're in a
Thanks
car?
Yes.
Where are you
We're in
going?
traffic in Tehran.
Oh, you're in Tehran now.
Yes, yes. I came for my visa here, Maharaj.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hope you can get 2 visas.
Oh, you mean I cannot get 2 visas if I go once, then I
No,
come
no.
back?
It's only for 30 days, right?
Yes, yes.
So you have to get another 30 days.
Yes,
Because you
yes.
have to come to my Govardhan retreat, right?
Yeah, I want to come for that, definitely.
When do you return from the Echo Village?
If it would be like 21st of December, I will come back from there.
Okay. Did they say if you can get another visa? Did you ask them?
Yeah, I asked them and they said I can get visa, but Maharaj, I don't know if I can get my visa ready before this course. So I don't know if I'm going, because I was supposed to go tomorrow, but the visa isn't ready yet. So maybe I won't go, and then I have the visa and I can come for you.
Maybe that's what Krishna wants.
Yes,
Because
exactly.
I want to do something very, very special in Govardhan.
We look
Maybe
forward
it's
to it,
We're
Maharaj.
looking forward.
Yeah, we're really
It's
looking forward.
a little cold at that time, but not bad. You've been there at that time of the year before, right?
Yeah.
That's when you got initiated.
Yes,
Maharaj.
yeah.
Things are clean. I may have to buy heaters or maybe not heaters, but it's going to be nice. And we have some good Kirtan. Yeah,
Amazing. Thank you, Maharaj.
and
How
then
many people can we bring with us, Maharaj?
if they speak fluent English, you can bring who you want. But
Okay.
it has to be people that speak English for this. Otherwise, I would do
Yeah.
a separate thing for the Iranians,
Okay. Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Yeah,
Thank you
I
very
think they'd
much.
have translation is not going to work out because it's a small
Yeah.
thing. And
Yeah.
let me know.
Okay.
Just keep in touch with me. We'll see. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Maharaj.
We look forward to it, Maharaj. Thank you very much.
Okay. And your mother's coming, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
definitely.
Of
Yeah,
course.
definitely.
Okay.
I'm trying for my best.
We're gonna. Now I'm gonna look at the schedule. We have to arrange a special day for her. Okay.
Okay. Wow.
That's
Thank
great.
you, Maharaj.
That's great.
Okay. Haribo.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Haribo.
Haribo.
Isn't it great to see Iranian devotees driving in the Tehran? I heard the traffic is horrible. I heard it's almost as bad as Russia, or maybe as bad as Russia. Henry, isn't it nice to see these nice devotees from all over the world? Huh?
Yes, Maharaj, yes.
Okay, Amala Vaishnav Babaji.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
I'm just thinking, who's this Gaudiya Math sannyasi that's attending my class? I hope the DMV is kind to you.
I do too. I kind of have a backup plan if they're not kind. So I'm gonna try the kind way first, hopefully.
Yeah, because you have that other retreat later, you know.
Right. So I got to kind of budget my time a little bit. But from my rough estimate, I should be able to do just about a week in Mayapur, Vrindavan, and then the retreat, and then still have enough time to do the retreat in March that I'm doing.
Okay, you have, right. But you have like so much vacation time, right? How much you have
Yeah.
saved?
I have about 200 hours vacation time, a little over. And
How
even when
many
I'm
months?
gone, I'll still get more vacation time because it counts as a ton.
How many months is that? How much is that? 200 hours?
I believe, hold on, let me calculate. It's about a month and a half, rough estimate off the top of my head.
Okay, so. Yeah, anyway.
I'm sure Krishna will arrange it and he'll put me wherever he wants me, no matter what happens, you know?
Yeah, but you're determined to go to India.
I am so determined.
That's part of Krishna's arrangement. You're determined to go to India.
I feel like part of me never left.
Okay, anybody else?
Hare
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj, Namaste here.
Okay, I see Lal,
Okay.
Govinda and Braja.
Thank you for class.
Their cozy house. Okay, I'm gonna see my main man Raghunath. He's great, you know, he's so nice. He's helping me a lot. Okay.
Wonderful.
Narmasaki, Haribo.
Haribol, Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Thank you for the
Wow,
class.
I'm in this incredibly merciful mood. I'm just continuing and in the class. I'm a little intoxicated today. I don't know what it is, but yeah, okay, great. Any chance
you
we
so
can
much.
see you in
Thank you.
India? I don't know if you can get away.
Yes, I'm trying. I'm trying to
Okay.
be. I hope so. I'm
Okay,
trying so hard to get there.
okay. Anybody else say hello?
Just need your blessing.
You have it. Okay. Anybody else say
Thank you.
hello?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I just had to come back to say how sweet I thought it was when you said that Vikram, he loves you so much that he cooks you the wrong things. It reminded me of Avadut. You know, when you're in Avadut, you don't have to follow the rules. Or maybe it's
Well, I'll just, because I'm in an intoxicated mood. When my parents came to the 55th Street to see me with my Uncle Millie, no, my Uncle Mike and Aunt Millie, they brought up a plate of pakoras with some chutney. And Millie looked affectionately to Mike and said, "Look, Mike, a dip." And gave him the pakoras, even though he had angina, even though he had this rigid heart condition. She loved him so much. Look, Mike, a dip. Started feeding him the pakoras. That was her relationship with him. Okay, good. One more person, and then I leave. Okay, I will go now. Good. Vanchakalpa through Vishnu.